Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is your host on your favorite podcast, Living in God's Hope and Truth, The Light.
Hi, everyone. This is your special guest, Rebecca, aka Bex. Thank you for tuning in to The Light. I'm so happy to be back.
So today, we're going to talk about living with anxiety and depression. Oof. Let's get into it. The question is, what's the meaning of anxiety and depression? When we say anxiety, what does it mean?
Yes, I chuckle because, Pastor, like I said, every time you ask me for a definition, I go straight to the source.
It is important, you got to get things right.
Yeah, I got to get them right. So dictionary definition says that anxiety is a feeling of unease, worriness, or nervousness. And some examples of anxiety could be social anxiety. Someone who's an introvert and likes to stay to themselves majority of the time could potentially have social anxiety when they interact with new people. So that's just even just a small example of anxiety that we may feel. And I feel like anxiety is an umbrella term because there's so many things that stem off from it. So we can have social anxiety, we can have emotional anxiety. There's a lot of anxiety that we or stressors that we may feel in our life that may give us anxiety. And when we look on the other side of things, dictionary definition of depression is a constant feeling of being low and uninterested in a lot of things. So when someone's mood is consistently low, I feel like that is a sign of depression. There's a fine line or a difference, some gray area between being diagnosed with depression, which I will later speak on, and also just being in a low mood. I feel like when you're low mood is very consistent to the point where it's like every time, even in the midst of people, you're still feeling like you're lonely or you're feeling depressed, then I feel like that's something that needs to be assessed by a psychologist. But however, there are times where we may be feeling down for whatever reason, like something happened at work, okay, we're feeling down, but the next day we wake up and we're like completely fine. I feel like there's some gray area in between, like, having a low mood and then just actually being diagnosed with depression. When we look at both areas, anxiety and depression, I feel like they're similar in the sense that they both talk about our moods and how we feel about certain things. But I feel like the difference between them is that depression is caused by feelings of sadness and reduced energy, whereas anxiety creates feelings of nervousness and worriness or worry. I just want to put out there that, friends, I am not a psychologist by any means. These are just points that I've researched and I just want to speak on. And I also want to mention that as humans, we use the terms anxiety and depression very loosely. Something happens in our lives, we're like, okay, I'm so depressed. But I feel like it's so unfair for us to, use the terms very loosely because there are some people who are actually living with it. And by no means am I trying to invalidate how you are feeling, but I feel like if you are feeling very low on your mood and it's very consistent, then it's something that you need to see a clinician for, because there is a criteria that is to be followed that diagnoses someone with depression. And so if you are feeling this way, I think it's something that you need to go get checked out. But with being checked out or not being checked out at all, we kind of need to steer from using those terms very loosely because it kind of diminishes how someone may be feeling who actually is diagnosed with depression. Right. And so again, not saying that you don't have the right to be feeling low. There are times that we may be feeling low that's very temporary, but for someone who's actually or are diagnosed with it with the criteria, the DSM-5, that is someone who would be using the term as us who are just feeling low at some points in our lives. Nonetheless, like if you are feeling out of character, you feel like you need some type of help, I feel like it's important to reach out to a friend or a family member, anyone that could even seek help for you and get the help that you need, because your mental health truly matters.
Wow. So this is just the foundation of understanding the topic of anxiety and depression. And thank you very much, Becky, for laying the foundation for this conversation.
Right. No problem.
I think it's very important that you brought out the differences and also not using the words, loosely, because sometimes just stating that you are depressed does not emphatically say that you live with depression.
Right.
There's a difference between having the diagnosis and having maybe once in a while because of circumstances
Right.
that get changed.
Exactly.
I know from a spiritual perspective, the Bible talks about do not be anxious of anything, which means anxiety has a cause.
Right.
There are factors that brings anxiety and leads to depression. So let's talk briefly about what are some of the common factors that causes anxiety and depression among us.
Okay, so when we're speaking on just anxiety, I feel like one common factor that may lead someone to feeling anxious is trauma. Things that have happened in the past can cause someone to feel anxious if they're even remotely close to that, repeating that same environment or same predicament that has occurred to them. So, for example, you're walking down the street and someone came up to you and, stole something from you. Next time when you're walking down the street, you're going to feel, okay, is someone going to come and attack me again? I know this is a serious issue, and so I just want to just very lightly, if this triggers you, I'm very sorry, but I just want to say, like, this is one of the examples that I could think of that may cause someone to feel stressed or anxiety if they're even remotely close to that same predicament or same environment. And even on the lighter issue, let's say at school, I feel like this applies to me very heavily because when I was younger, we used to do speeches at school, and there was one time that I decided to practice my public speaking, and so I decided not to write any notes. I just decided to go free for all.
Okay.
And so I went, and seeing everybody out there in front of the class, I don't know, my mind just completely blanked out. And so I completely forgot what I was going to say. And to the point, the nervousness. And so to the point where my teacher's like, okay, you know what? I feel like you can try again tomorrow. And so when the next day came, it's like I was so close to that same environment. I prepared all my notes, but still, I was still feeling anxious to speak in front of people because I knew what happened. Everybody was looking at me like, okay, did she even practice? Did she even think about it? But just, being in that same environment, even with my notes, I started feeling anxiety because I was so close to making that same mistake I made. And so just past trauma can really impact someone and make them feel nervous in certain situations and make them feel like, okay, something's happening again. My mind is on, okay, alert. Is it going to happen? Is what occurred to me going to happen again?
Right. And I think, some of the things too is the expectations in life. Sometimes when we don't get what we want, it can lead to that. It can be lack of exercise. It can be many different things.
Absolutely.
And maybe perhaps some of us are going through certain things that we may not know why we are always anxious. Even stress can cause, anxiety.
Absolutely.
If you're stressed about, FOMO, all these kind of things.
Fear of missing out. That's absolutely so true.
It can all lead you to being anxious. We will talk briefly about how to overcome it, but let's go into the other aspect, living with depression. What are some of the common factors that leads to depression?
Yeah. When we talk about depression, I feel like it's a deeper concern just because it's something that you consistently feel that makes you feel like you don't belong. Or you feel like you're not worthy or whatever the case may be. And so when I think about depression, I think some common factors that really affect it would be like life-changing events. I'll just speak on one or two. Life-changing events like someone passing away or you being seriously ill can cause you to be depressed because you feel like your mind is just constantly on that sad or negative thing that occurred. And so you just put yourself at the lowest moments in life and you feel like you can't get up. Right? Or even the sense of always being alone causes depression. And I feel like it's so important to note that there's a difference between being alone and being lonely, right? So if you're alone, it can be like you're going to the grocery store or you're watching TV alone. But when you're lonely, it's just a different type of feel that it brings you to the lowest point where even if you are in a group of people,
right,
where there's physically members around you, you still feel like you are lonely and you are alone to yourself. Like your mind is just like, okay, I'm in this by myself and for myself. And so when you feel like you don't have a companion or someone near you or someone to even lift you up,
right,
even if you have friends, it's so much deeper than we really think. You know, like someone you can say you have a best friend, but even with your best friend right beside you, you still feel like I don't have that connection with them, so I still feel alone. And
Yeah.
And I feel like just being lonely to the
Yeah.
point where it causes you to be in a bad mood
Yeah.
is something that's a symptom of depression.
Right. Like the triggers, having flashbacks is the state of the mind, so these things really need more attention when it comes to taking care of ourselves in these situations. We always encourage that if you have these consistent feelings, of course, the first place you would want to go to is talk to your family doctor, and perhaps with more conversation, you can be referred to a psychologist or whichever level that needs to be connected to.
Yeah.
So I know we've listed a few. One of the common ones in our generation is heartbreak.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
that's so true.
When friends tell on you, when dad or mom is not there, you talked about trauma before. We as family also have to be careful, because we have had kids, like there are stories where kids say they don't want to go to this auntie's house, but then parents still push them. They are your family, still go there. But then there might have been something bad that happened that made that kid doesn't want to go there. So this is trauma. The kids don't want to go there. They always feel anxious, and it leads to being depressed, because anytime they are in that space, or even when they think about it, then it triggers so many things, and they want to be by themselves, and it can lead to societal thoughts and many different things when it gets to that extreme, right? So we want to help each other. We're a family, and if you find yourself in such state, always look for help. Try to find an accountability partner, as we talked about the other time. So how does our faith in Jesus helps us to recover from anxiety and depression? Knowing that he healed the sick, he casted out demons, he did many things in his time. How does our faith in him help us when we are in this state of anxiousness and depression?
So I feel like in the Bible, God gives us so many assurances that show us that leaning on him or trusting in him will yield the best results. In Proverbs 3 verses 5-6, it tells us to trust in the Lord with all of our hearts and lean not on our own understanding. Also, Psalms 55 verses 22 tells us to cast our burdens onto the Lord, and he will take care of you. There are just so many ways in which we can use these texts or many texts in the Bible to give us the validation or the confirmation that we need, that if nobody on this earth or humans do not have our back, the Lord himself has us, and that alone is assurance for us. And I know every listener on here is not a Christian or may not have the strongest faith or the greatest faith in Christ, but I just wanted to let you all know that human beings are ever changing, but God is never ever changing. And so putting our trust in him and knowing that all of our worries and all of our nervousness and all of our lowest moods, as long as we lean on Christ and depend on him and dive into his word or commune with him, he will be our companion through all these tough times. And just lastly, I just wanted to say that to all the listeners out there, I know this is much easier said than done, but I want to give you that assurance or give you the hope that there is someone that is looking out for you. In this world, we may feel like we're alone and nobody's out here for us, but God is that person that wants to take care of us, who wants to be the wall that we can lean on, someone that is our constant hope.
Wow.
And so when you feel like you are slowly falling off the cliff, he's there to protect you, or to just raise you above the mountains and above the heavens, and just show you that you can be someone, or you can do the things that you set your mind to do, as long as you put your trust in him and put your faith in him. And I just want to give you that assurance that as long as you do that, or you put your trust in God, you just see the way the miracles will form in your life and see what God will do for you.
Thank you. Sometimes what you said, it's very powerful, and thank you for sharing all of that. Sometimes we trust God to heal heart attacks and heal cancer, but we don't trust God to heal anxiety or depression, recover from that. The state of mind is the same God who heals the leg. It's the same God who can heal what happens in the mind. He created the mind too, so we have that assurance, and that's why the text mentioned, do not be anxious of anything, but in all things through prayer and supplication make your requests be known to God. It is a beautiful thing to know
Yeah.
that the world we live in, there is assurance that we have a Savior who cares not only for our physical well-being, but also for our spiritual well-being. And we want to state this to the fact that we serve a God who can use human beings to help us to recover.
Absolutely.
And so when we trust that we have a God who cares for us, the only thing we have to believe in is to trust that He will find His own ways and means to help us, whether through a friend, a pastor, a teacher, a co-worker, food we eat, water we drink, or even the therapist to help us. All these ways can be possible.
For sure.
So thank you. As we wrap it up, what are some of the other ways that we can overcome anxiety and depression?
Okay. So here's one thing that I feel like I can possibly say to encourage someone who is living with anxiety or depression, and that is to continue to congratulate yourself at every moment and every time of the day. Someone who is living with depression or anxiety may feel like they do things that are not enough. Whatever they do, they just feel like, okay, that was a small accomplishment, whatever, let me just move on.
Right.
But the more you congratulate yourself, the more you see that you are constantly moving, you are constantly taking that step further. Someone who's living with depression, even waking up and brushing your teeth is a phenomenal start to your day, because someone who is living with depression may not feel like they need to get up and do anything, but because you brush your teeth, it means that you're ready to conquer the day. You're ready to do something. Or someone who is living with anxiety or social anxiety, even moving over on the bus. I know it's something so simple to us, but to someone who's living with the anxiety, who does not like social interactions, even moving over on the bus for someone to sit beside you is a start, because you are now inviting someone into your space that you may feel like was something that caused anxiety for you.
Right.
And so just congratulate yourself that you are able to accomplish something today. You are able to take that step forward, and not everybody can, but just you can be the example that people wish to see, and see that yes, she was living with anxiety or depression, but because she took a step forward, and I can see her taking that step forward, even in the smallest things that we may find very minuscule to us, is a major improvement to someone who's living with these things. And I just want to say to anybody who is living with these things that you are doing amazing, and take that step forward and challenge yourself that you want to have the best mental health that you can possibly achieve, and see a doctor if you need help, but also remember that you are doing a great job. You're doing a phenomenal job, and just keep pushing, and God will always have your back.
Wow, thank you. God will always have your back. Keep pushing. Don't give up. Do your best. Celebrate. Congratulate yourself with every little thing that you are able to do. That's so positive, and thank you so much for sharing that. A few things I want to add to that is we should do our best to find somebody that we can talk to, somebody we trust that we can talk to. And please, for those that people come to you to talk with you and share their feelings with you, be ready to listen, be open, be willing to hear them out, and don't think like you can give the solution to all their problems.
Right.
All you can be is to help them and assist them, and share with them any resource you have to give to them, because sometimes we want to be the superheroes to save the day and to have all the solutions. And this goes to me. Sometimes I try to have all the answers for people that are going through certain things, but do what you can. And if you need to refer, if you need to just share a link or give a contact, that would be much appreciated as well. So it is our goal to recover from anxiety and depression, or whatever state of mind that we may be struggling with, and we should do our best to trust that it is a process, it is a journey, and you may not overcome it just one day, but momentarily, from time to time, you'll be able to recover.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Becky. I know we've had a great conversation today on this topic. Very sensitive, very important, but it is helpful, and I pray that somebody out there learned something. Any last words before we wrap up?
Yeah, I just want to say anybody living with anxiety or depression, you are not alone.
Mm.
Someone will be there for you. Someone is there to be an ear that you may need. And like you mentioned, Pastor, sometimes we try to be superheroes and feel like we have all the answers. But if anybody comes to you, sometimes we need to think they're not here for you to solve their problems.
Mhm.
Sometimes they just want someone to listen to them, someone they want to hear them vent. And so be that listening ear that you can be, or be that resource that someone can be, that you can be for someone. And let us all move forward and trying to conquer all these mental illnesses that we may face in the world and all these stressors. We are all not alone. There is always someone who is there to carry you or help you through these tough times.
Thank you very much. And thank you all again for listening to us on this special episode on our topic, anxiety and depression. And I pray that you learn something and you are willing to also help somebody out there who may be living with anxiety or depression. May God bless you until we meet again. Remember, this is Living in God's Hope and Truth, and we keep it 100 all the time. See you on the next episode.
Bye,
Take care and
everyone.
have a great day.